This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Tonight, collapsed culvert. A Yarmouth County property owner calls for changes to help avoid more extensive flood damage.
New purpose. The Lunenburg Foundry, famous for shipbuilding, is becoming much-needed housing.
And Melville Knitters. This group of Halifax seniors is about to mark a major milestone.
Chilly northwest winds ushering in a cool night tonight, but recovering nicely as we work our way through Tuesday. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. A property owner in Yarmouth County is hoping neighbors could be the answer to a problem multiple levels of government have not addressed for 15 years.
A collapsed culvert on a private road in North Kemptville has caused extensive damage on Doug Allen's property since 2010. Michael Gorman explains.
For years, Doug and Carolyn Allen have struggled with flooding at their property in Yarmouth County. It's cost them hectares of shoreline and forest land. After the most recent flood this month poured water into their cabin, the Allens fear they'll lose that structure too.
We've wiped out a complete ecosystem, and now the shores of the lake, the shores of the two brooks in behind me right here now, they're all becoming destabilized. So that means more sediment into the water.
The source of the problem is this collapsed culvert on a private road below the Allens Lake. They've tried for years without success to get the Provincial Environment Department or Fisheries and Oceans Canada to intervene. What was once a brook a few meters wide has swollen through the years to an artificial lake. In the absence of government action, Allen is hoping members of a private road owners association nearby will agree to partner with the municipality and get the culvert replaced. This local environmentalist says the situation keeps getting worse. He's hoping everyone involved can come together to finally fix the problem.
And so you have drowned forests going upstream for kilometers, flooded wetlands, interruptions to migratory fish coming up the stream, and also it seems as if there's sediment going into the lake downstream now, so that this is a bit of a problem.
DFO did not respond to questions submitted last week. A spokesperson for the Provincial Environment Department says the site has been inspected regularly through the years, most recently in March. They say it's a civil matter and officials have found no violations of the Environment Act, evidence of siltation in the lake, or negative impacts to wildlife or the environment. But Glendon Ring is not so sure. He's been coming to this lake, which lies below the culvert, since he was a kid. In recent years, he's noticed changes he attributes to what's happening on Golden Forest Road. Ring took this picture last month, 3 days before the last time provincial environment inspectors visited.
The clarity of the lake is just not what it used to be. The animal life in the cove has been affected. We used to see painted turtles every day here. Last year, we seen a couple.
Like Ring, the Allens are hoping the Road Owners Association will be the answer they've been unable to find elsewhere. The association president says talks with members continue, but nothing is settled yet. Michael Gorman, CBC News, North Kemptville.
Barbara Adams has been appointed as the Minister of Justice and Attorney General. The swearing-in ceremony took place at Government House earlier today. Adams will also keep her role as Minister of Seniors and Long-Term Care. She takes over from former Minister Brad Johns, who resigned last week after he told reporters he did not believe domestic violence was an epidemic in Nova Scotia. His comments came on the anniversary of the 2020 mass shooting, which led to an inquiry that recommended treating domestic violence as an epidemic. In an interview with the Canadian Press, Johns said he, quote, misspoke, and he resigned to maintain confidence in the government.
Residents of the riding of Pictou West will be heading to the polls in a by-election next month to fill the seat left vacant by the retiring Speaker of the House. Premier Tim Houston issued a statement Sunday saying the by-election will be held on May 21st. Progressive Conservative Carla McFarlane, Nova Scotia's first female Speaker of the House, announced her decision to leave politics at the beginning of April. The riding spans western Pictou County to River John in the central part of the province.
Recent cancellations of ferry crossings between Halifax and Dartmouth point to staffing shortages at the service, according to the union that represents crew members. Halifax Transit says it has 3 open positions on the ferries, which they are trying to fill, but Ray McKenzie, head of the Amalgamated Transit Union, says in the meantime, burnout is affecting staff.
we need more relief personnel to be working. It seems to be if we have a deckhand or a mate or engineer or a captain go sick, they're having a hard time filling a void that's been filled through overtime through our ferry crew. We have a staff of 40 on the ferry crew, and 5 of them are relief. And it's been being filled with overtime, and our members are starting to get tired.
I'll talk to the union president about the impact staffing shortages is having on the transit service. That's our Newsmaker interview just after 6:30.
Marine Atlantic's newest ferry, the Alasuanu, arrived in Nova Scotia over the weekend. Marine Atlantic says the new vessel uses some battery power to reduce carbon emissions. It will also have technology to decrease underwater noise to reduce the impact on marine life. It docked in North Sydney Saturday afternoon. There are almost 150 passenger cabins, along with 40 passenger pods, a lounge, and a children's play area. The Alasuanu will mostly be on the Agentia service this summer, but will operate between Port aux Basques and North Sydney for the rest of the year. The vessel's name means traveler in Mi'kmaq.
Staying in Cape Breton, some of the best under-18 men's hockey players from across the country are in Member 2 this week, competing for the TELUS Cup. The national tournament is another major sporting event on the island in just a matter of weeks. As the CBC's Kyle Moore tells us, local businesses are booming.
With the drop of the puck, the chase for the 2024 TELUS Cup is underway at the Member 2 Sport and Wellness Centre.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting hockey. Best teams in Canada. There's super talent in here. Probably future stars in the National Hockey League, so it's fun hockey to watch.
It's the first time an Indigenous community is playing host to the event. Hockey Canada says ticket sales are already ahead of expectations.
So it obviously shows that Cape Breton is supporting these big events, coming out in the numbers that they're getting, and we're expecting some huge numbers tonight for the Rush home opener. It should be good. We're really looking forward to it.
Cape Breton is no stranger to hosting major sporting events recently. People are still talking about the success of the World Women's Curling Championship held in Sydney last month. More than 45,000 fans attended that event.
The women's curling was fantastic. Our numbers were up. We just finished up that month, and it was up 30% overall. And we were busy every single day they were here.
Vice President front scores! Cole Burbank!
The Cape Breton Eagles are also creating a buzz around town, making the league semi-final for the first time since 2007. All of it means big business.
It brings a smile to my face. They're fantastic for business. We get an injection of new, fresh people into the city this time of year. It's a great thing for business.
The economic impact is still being worked out, but these events have generated millions for the local economy.
For the curling, if it's any case like Scotty's, we expect it to be somewhere in the range of probably 7 to 8 million, maybe a little bit more to the local economy. And for TELUS Cup, what they're projecting is 1.3 million. So between those two events, that's an amazing boost at this time of year.
Terry Smith says Cape Breton is on the map when it comes to attracting future events. Back at the rink, the TELUS Cup wraps up Sunday with the final game broadcast on national television. Kyle Moore, CBC News, Member 2.
Ryan Snoddon with us now. What's been a pretty nice day here in Halifax.
And Sunday, too. Spectacular.
Sunday was definitely spectacular. Today, also beautiful. The wind, again, a little on the cool side. Yesterday in spots, more noticeable today overall, no question. Temperatures out there right now, you can see 3 to 5 degrees across Cape Breton, 6, 8, 9, 12 degrees at Western Head. That northwest wind favorable there for you folks along the South Shore. And as we look at the satellite and radar picture, again, lots of sunshine, things really, really nice. A frontal boundary moving out, an area of high pressure moving in means the winds are going to be light tonight. That is setting up for pretty chilly night tonight. We'll be looking at overnight lows ranging between around -1 to -4 or 5 for most of us. So definitely be mindful of that. But we rebound quite lovely for Tuesday. Winds becoming southerly. Note that temperatures tomorrow with those southerly winds are going to be cooler along the Atlantic coastline. Inland is where we're going to be into that 9, 10, 11 mark, and even 12 or 13 degrees through the Annapolis Valley tomorrow. That will no doubt be our hot spot. So it's all thanks to this area of high pressure. The light winds tonight, the sunshine tomorrow. We'll see some high cloud cover rolling in into the afternoon, but a fine day overall. And then we're going to be keeping an eye on a system that will be moving in, actually two systems, two lows that will move in on Wednesday. Showers for us, but if you're traveling, be mindful that this secondary low coming in will bring some snow to northern New Brunswick, maybe even a few flakes for Nova Scotia Wednesday night into early Thursday. Cooler temperatures on Thursday as well. Thursday is going to be one of our coolest days in quite some time for daytime highs in the mid-single digits, but we recover quite nicely for late week and into the weekend. Yes, the all-important weekend. We'll talk about all about that with your 7-day forecast in just a few minutes.
Yeah, never too early,
Never
right?
too soon, is it? Yeah. Okay, thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, the historic Lunenburg Foundry has new owners, and they have big plans to develop the site. As the CBC's Emma Smith reports, that plan includes much-needed housing.
Don't be overwhelmed by the thousands of patterns that you're about to see, but what I see is craft.
For more than a century, the Lunenburg Foundry made whatever people needed, from stoves to bells to ships' propellers. Now Lunenburg, like so many communities in Nova Scotia, desperately needs something else: more housing. The former foundry site will play a role in that too, under new owners who plan to build more than 100 residential units here.
Right now there's a need for all types of housing, every type, every scale, every affordability. What's challenging on the affordability front is just it's so expensive to build right now.
3 Nova Scotia companies bought the 5-acre site in March. Nestled at the base of the harbor, it is prime real estate with a past.
So made in wood first, pressed into sand, carefully removed, and then the molten iron poured into that crevice.
The foundry got its start back in 1891, and by World War II, nearly 500 people worked here. The company made parts for the original Blue Nose and manufactured ships' engines.
It's a bittersweet experience to finally make the decision to sell.
John Kinley's great-grandfather was the foundry's first president.
We recognized that it was time for someone else to kind of take the reins. This is a very central spot to the community. In order to make the next steps towards the future, you needed resources, you needed the gumption to do it.
The Lunenburg shipyard owns this area near the water. It's repairing boats inside and building floating docks outside so more vessels can visit the town. The third owner is Summer-Led Properties. Its sister company, Dora Construction, has moved in here and it's working to restore the old building. The new owners each have their own plans for the site, but they want to work together to see a mix of housing, commercial space, and a marina. Construction on the first phase of housing could begin within the year.
So I think it's what the town needed. I think it keeps in our tradition with the marine industrial theme, but we definitely need housing. It seems to be just far enough outside the UNESCO area as well that people tend to accept more opportunities there.
Another piece that you can identify.
As Corson builds for the future, she's also protecting the past. It's why she's not throwing out the thousands of patterns that the foundry left over.
We have makers who are very creative in looking at these parts and see other things in them.
This space will be open to the public this summer, so people can take a piece of the Lunenburg Foundry home. Emma Smith, CBC News, Lunenburg.
Today is Earth Day. It is a global event highlighting the importance of protecting the environment. This year's theme is Planet versus Plastics. August McLean is Litter Programs Coordinator with the group Coastal Action. So you were part of a cleanup on the weekend. I know there's quite a few going on around the province with Earth Day being today. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so this is our busiest time of year for litter cleanups. It always is. But each year I like to attend this big event that happens in Yarmouth, run by Scotian Shores. It's a community-wide, county-wide cleanup. And it gets out so many people every year. It's really nice to see.
Well, what did you find?
Tons of different things. I think the biggest litter item that we're finding these days is takeout cups. We're finding a lot of plastics still, mixed plastics. When people are doing shoreline cleanups, there's a lot of fishing waste. So we're seeing ropes, buoys, lobster traps, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
How does that make you feel? Is it, you're happy that you're cleaning it up or just kind of down because there's so much out there?
I think it's a mix. I think when I go to these types of events and I see so many people being passionate about cleaning their community, that's fantastic to see. I love it when people are passionate about keeping their community clean and healthy. I think it's always demoralizing to see a ton of litter, but there has been a change. I think our communities would look a lot different if we weren't doing these litter cleanups. I think they would be a lot more messy, but it's great. I think, again, it's a mix.
Right. So what is your message on Earth Day? What do you hope people take away from it?
I think it would be fantastic if more people would get out cleaning up litter, but a big goal of our programs is to just get people thinking about environmental causes, to get them thinking about the big picture, where the things that they're using in their day-to-day life, where they come from, whether they're reusing things or whether they're just throwing things away. We want people to think about their lifestyle choices as well, and then also the corporations or industries that tend to be wasting the most and then putting pressure on them.
Now, would something as simple as more garbage cans help?
Yeah, I think it would. I think littering is a big convenience thing. So if we make it more convenient for people to put their trash in the right place, I think that would be fantastic. I think putting bins along roadways or walking paths and just putting them as many places you can. I think it's difficult because you need personnel to clean those, but I think maximizing the amount of bins that we have would be helpful. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for your time today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Adult learners across Canada are preparing for a new high school equivalency test. The current GED exams end May the 3rd. Instead of modernizing the test produced by an American company, GED Testing Service, provinces and territories are developing a made-in-Canada assessment.
The world is very different than what it was in 2002, and we understand the world much differently, so we're very excited that this is a made by Canadians for Canadians model.
Nova Scotia's Department of Labour, Skills and Immigration says the new test will launch this spring. Like the old assessment, the new series of 5 tests will focus on reading, writing, mathematics, science, and social studies.
A group of Halifax seniors known as the Melville Knitters is on the verge of hitting a milestone.
As we hear in this report from the CBC's Paul Palmeter, they've been knitting blankets for the less fortunate for almost 20 years.
These 17 seniors have gathered for their weekly knitting session at the Melville Heights Retirement Home. They've been knitting and crocheting since 2005.
My grandmother taught me how to knit before I could walk, so I've been knitting as long as I can remember. But when I came here and I found the knitting group making the squares, that was fine. I joined right in.
That was 13 years ago, so Gray has been one of the mainstays of the group. The Melville Knitters are now on the verge of putting together their 500th blanket. They've knitted 26,000 of these 8x8 squares that are then pieced together.
We enjoy what we're doing, and we really are glad to know that what we love to do is also a benefit to somebody else.
To date, 497 blankets have been made by the group, and they are donated to the less fortunate. Shelters and church groups have been receiving them, and the work is rewarding for the seniors.
When I first came, they had started, and sometimes there's only about 5 or 6 of us. Now there's a big group there, anywhere from 17 to 18. So, you're helping somebody.
These ladies have been knitting, most of their lives for projects for charity, projects for themselves and for their families.
Most of the yarn used for the blankets has been donated by residents at the facility or their family and friends. There is also a Coins for Yarn program where they collect any unwanted change to purchase yarn for the blankets, and they say they are always looking for new knitters. Paul Palmeter, CBC News, Halifax.
There is a lot of talent in that room for sure.
Knitting up a storm. They're so fast.
Impressive. First quick break on the way. Do stay with us.
Yes, there is a lot more to come on CBC Nova Scotia News. Day one of Donald Trump's first ever criminal trial has wrapped up. Opening arguments took much of the morning.
Honda is expected to announce a multi-billion-dollar agreement this week to build electric cars and their batteries here in Canada.
And there's a live look through the lens of our harbor cam. Ryan is up next with the weather forecast. We'll see you in a bit.
Multiple sunny days.
I am loving the sunshine.
This is the life, isn't it?
I know. That's amazing. Keep it coming, right?
Everybody seems to be has a little pep in their step today.
Even for a Monday, right?
Yeah.
Even for a Monday, because we actually had a nice day yesterday.
Yeah.
If it was rainy all weekend, then there was sunny today, I'd be keeping my head lower for sure.
No kidding.
But overall, a brighter looking 7-day forecast and beyond. Looks like we're kind of turning the corner and getting into a bit more of a zonal flow, which means systems come and systems go. And changeable weather, which is good because we get a little bit of wet weather, which we need, and we also get the sunshine. Have a look at our webcam, and this is a live shot right now in beautiful Lunenburg. And of course, won't be long till That spot is packed with folks from all across the country and all across the world coming to see the best of here in Nova Scotia. And yes, it's 9 degrees right now in Lunenburg. Perfect for a dog walk, I do say.
Right on cue.
Yeah, right on cue.
Definitely. There you go. 9, as we said, in Lunenburg. It's 10 at Western Head. We've got 11 degrees at the Mallet Falls spot weather station there near Sheet Harbor. We've got temperatures right near 6 at Caribou Point, 3 Shuttacamp and Ingonish Beach. That's our cool spot, and no doubt about that, the winds from the northwest coming right in off the water. So it's obviously feeling a bit cooler there. And the winds have been a factor today, no question. The winds will become less of a factor as we turn the page into tomorrow. There are the gusts, and still gusting 30, 40 kilometers per hour. We're going to turn the winds down overnight tonight as that area of high pressure comes in overhead. Note the clear skies. That cloud deck that did kind of skirt up into our region late yesterday, clouding things over, then move back out. And this is the low that is going to continue off to the north. We are watching this area of high pressure here. That's going to move in, bringing us the clear skies tonight. And then we are watching this system here, and another system is developing off to our south. And those two are going to impact us towards the Wednesday time period, certainly, and into Wednesday night. Looking much more spring-like across the country. Couple notable exceptions. You can see that cool air, and it is cool over Hudson Bay down towards Quebec City at 3 degrees. And we will be tapping into that cooler air. And as I said, Thursday shaping up to be quite a cool day overall. Here's how things are playing out for tonight. Cool tonight, too, for this time of year. -2 to -4 or 5. The coolest spots will be here in through the central to eastern parts of the province, with those winds continuing northwest for Cape Breton, but light for the mainland. And we'll be watching those skies to remain clear through tonight and tomorrow morning. And you can see recovering quite nicely into the afternoon. Some high cloud cover starting to work its way in, but overall a really nice day shaping up. The winds will become south to southeasterly into the afternoon, and those clouds will continue to thicken up into the evening. Southerly winds across eastern mainland and into Cape Breton. And note, again, onshore winds, Guysborough County into Richmond County, but working your way away from the water, 8-9 degrees for Inverness South and North and Victoria County and down into Antigonish as well. This is going to be our best chance of getting into the double digits. We'll be here across the north parts of the province tomorrow, including Tatamagouche and Amherst and Parsboro and in around Cobequid Bay. Note cooler in those southerly winds there from Musquodoboit through Halifax. And we are looking at temperatures warmest likely right here through the valley. A nice southeasterly wind. That's a good setup for a valley hotspot for tomorrow. For Wednesday, we'll be likely in the widespread double digits here, but a little cooler for Cape Breton and into the eastern mainland, as we will be watching some of that wet weather moving in with this system here. Most likely for Cape Breton with some showers. Eastern parts of the mainland edging into Halifax possible. Then that low moves off to the north, and there's that snow as we talked about. New Brunswick, Gaspé, Labrador, and yes, even some flakes possible for us. The highlands of Cape Breton looking most likely, but even down towards the Northumberland shore, higher terrain areas Thursday morning could see some flurries, so we'll be mindful of that. But the good news is whatever falls is long gone, and a nice stretch Friday, Saturday, and into the weekend, Tom and Amy, so lots to focus on there.
Yeah, liking the look of that for sure.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay, thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hundreds of people spent their Sunday filing in and out of the Mi'kmaq Native Friendship Centre in Halifax.
The space hosted a market with more than 50 Indigenous vendors from across Atlantic Canada. The CBC's Brooklyn Curry spoke with organizers about the inaugural event and why opportunities like this are so important for Mi'kmaq artists and creators.
This is our first, definitely annual, Indigenous Craft and Vendors Market. We're hosting it here at the Mi'kmaq Friendship Center. This is one of our big fundraisers for our annual powwow camping trip that we take our community families on every year. And this just so happens to be our 30th anniversary, so it's a big one. For us, all of the admission costs, the food, and we have a raffle going, will all go towards our proceeds. And the vendors, instead of charging them a table fee, they're each donating an item which we'll use in our upcoming annual auction in June. That's always been our biggest fundraiser, but I don't know, this one might be in competition with that now.
Well, today is special because of the cause, the Mi'kmaq Children's Development program is just amazing, run through the Friendship Center. It continues to grow. They continue to do wonderful things. So when this was coming up, I definitely wanted to be part of this for sure. And I think for us as Mi'kmaq vendors, we don't get this opportunity too often either. So this is just a wonderful time and wonderful opportunity for us all. I used to work as an Aboriginal student support worker or Indigenous student support worker in some of the schools here in the Lower Sackville area. And while I was there, I was always coming up ways to try to figure out how can I teach my Indigenous students in a way that's more than just lecturing. And so all of this stuff is things that I have created over the years and continue to create. And my newest is our language cards that are hot off the press. But just seeing the vendors, it's like I said, there's a few new vendors that, they're just getting their feet wet. And so I think this is a wonderful way for them to have this opportunity. So it's a door opening up for us that is growing. And it continues to grow, and it's so nice to see people doing this, and it's of course helping so much education out in society about our culture, and that's only good, right?
Yeah, this is my first time vending, and I'm really happy to be doing it here at the Friendship Center because it's really helped me become the person who I am today, and it feels like home here in Halifax when I come here to the Friendship Center. I first learned to bead when I was around 8 years old. We had an elder come into our school and show us how to do some bead work. I don't remember her name, but I can remember her face and the first pair of beaded earrings that I ever did. I didn't do it much while I was growing up, but I reconnected to it in my early 20s, and then along with some of my friends that I met here at the Friendship Center, they really helped me and encouraged me to kind of start selling it. It brings me out of my shell because I'm a little bit shy. But yeah, it's really empowering seeing all these other new creators here selling their work, and it gives me a lot of confidence and courage to sell mine as well.
We wouldn't have seen this, a chunk of years ago, that's for sure. By the looks of it and by everybody's presence, we're definitely going to be doing this again. It's overwhelming. It's kind of surreal. I didn't expect this great of a turnout, but really I shouldn't be surprised because those who are in our corner have promoted this and really put the word out there. And what's really nice is to have so many people just from the public come in and want to support the community. And really that means so much. It's a true act of reconciliation.
And the variety on display there. Some beautiful
busy
work.
spot.
Yeah, big crowds for sure. All right, up next, I'll talk with the union that represents ferry workers at Halifax Transit about how staffing shortages have led to some crossings being canceled recently. That's our newsmaker interview.
Please stay with us. You're watching CBC Nova Scotia News.
Recent cancellations of the ferry runs between Halifax and Dartmouth point to staffing shortages at the service. Halifax Transit says it has 3 open positions on the ferries, which they are trying to fill. Ray McKenzie is president of the Amalgamated Transit Union 508. Sir, how common are Halifax-Dartmouth cancellations on that ferry run there?
Well, they seem to be happening weekly and sometimes several times a week right now.
And what's the issue?
The issue is short staff. We need more relief personnel to be working. It seems to be if we have a deckhand or a mate or engineer or a captain go sick, they're having a hard time filling a void that's been filled through overtime through our ferry crew. We have a staff of 40 on the ferry crew, and 5 of them are relief, and it's been being filled with overtime, and our members are starting to get tired, and the work-life balance is really getting hurt.
So when you say it's being filled with overtime, what kind of increase are you seeing there?
Well, it's being offered through overtime, or they're calling people in, and we had last week, we had several of our members were scheduled to do double shifts each day, which is 16-hour days and no break in between. You're jumping rates from shift to shift. So, and that's what happened on Thursdays. We had a captain who had done a double shift on Wednesday, and late in the second shift, he was starting to feel ill. And in the morning, he wasn't any better, so he called in sick. We ended up losing service through the rush hour.
And you told me prior to this that there was about 3,000 hours of overtime last year. Is that right?
That's for the captains, yes. And there's 8 captains, so that's a lot of overtime spread out. So that's a lot of overtime that they're accumulating, and they're getting tired.
And so is it just a difficulty finding captains, or is it deckhands as well?
No, it's what it seems like. It's in a perfect world, they're staffed up. It's just there's no leeway for sick time. We had 3 boats with 5 ferry crew 14 years ago. Now we have 5 boats and 8 ferry crew, and we had 5 relief people, and now we still have 5 relief people. So we have 4 people off, up to 4 people a week off on vacation. And so out of those 5, 4 of those relief are covering. And the union's opinion is management, they have a right to manage. The employer always has a right to manage their staff. But our opinion is we need more relief in all the 4 positions. And we need relief captains. We need relief mates, deckhands, and engineers in order to keep this going. Because it's getting to the point that they're just, our members are burning out.
I see Halifax Transit with ads looking to hire people. I mean, they do say that they are trying to recruit more staff.
Absolutely. I believe it's a retention issue now.
Yeah, and so what are you seeing there on that front? Are they any headway being made?
So Monday passed. We don't have the numbers on what they were interviewing for, but we know that in the ferry department, they were interviewing and trying to fill some of the gaps for sure. What we're saying is we need more relief personnel just to keep it going without having to have people doing all that overtime. And as far as on the operations side with the bus operators, we have training classes going through up to every 6 weeks. There's classes at 8 to 12 going through, and they're just not retaining. We're back up to, in the operations side, losing 7 to 9 personnel a month are walking away, and that's not sustainable.
And why do you think so? That's contributing to the shortage of staff. Sorry for interruption, but that's contributing to the shortage of staff. Why do you think people are walking away or maybe not stepping up in the first place?
Well, when we ratified our contract in May, anybody coming in got was the pay bump went up pretty higher than what they were starting before, and we found the retention slow. It slowed down. We're able to keep people. Now we're ramping up again, and we can contribute a lot to it, to the way our work is being put together, plus assaults in the bus. We're finding a big issue there. Ferry department, we're finding people can make a lot more money in the open waters, so some are leaving there to go. But as far as the operation side, when I said the work is being put together, the work is being put together in shifts that we're not getting time to get out of the seats. You're pretty much crammed. We have some of the new shifts that are coming out in the May pick that you're got up to 6 hours. You have at most 2 minutes when you pull in to unload, load your passengers up, and you're gone again.
All right.
We're gonna run late.
Yeah, appreciate you painting the picture there, Ray McKenzie. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Coming up, artificial intelligence will play a key role in the Summer Olympics in Paris. Everything from making tricky calls to scouting new talent.
Welcome back. Donald Trump's hush money trial is now underway in New York, with jurors hearing opening arguments and a testimony from the prosecution's first witness.
Trump is accused of falsifying business records in 2016 to cover up sex scandals. Chris Reyes sets up the first ever criminal trial of a former American president.
Donald Trump was in and out of court by midday today, and as usual, he spoke to cameras at every chance.
I'm here instead of being able to be in Pennsylvania and Georgia and lots of other places campaigning, and it's very unfair.
Justice Juan Merchan addressed the jury before opening statements. Merchan said Trump, the defendant, is not required to prove that he is innocent and that the burden of proof never shifts from the people to the defendant. From there, opening statements began and ended quickly. Lawyers on both sides took less than an hour each to address the jury. From the prosecution, that Trump conspired to hide stories that could have hurt Trump's 2016 presidential run. That this so-called catch and kill scheme led to hush money payments to several people, including the adult film star Stormy Daniels. And those payments were misrepresented in business documents as legal fees. This trial is about a conspiracy and cover-up, said prosecutor Matthew Colangelo. At the end of the case, we're confident that you'll have no doubt.
What the Trump team is really going to try to do is isolate the single conversation that supposedly occurred between Cohen and Trump about Stormy Daniels and the payments. And what the prosecution is going to lay out is that that conversation was part and parcel of a much larger ongoing conspiracy with layers of people and layers of conversations.
From the defense, Todd Blanche launched into his opening by declaring his client's innocence. About Michael Cohen, a key witness for the prosecution, Blanche reminded jurors of his reputation as a liar. He has a goal, an obsession with getting Mr. Trump, Blanche said. Ex-publisher of the National Enquirer, David Pecker, was called to the stand after opening statements. Pecker confirmed that he had final say on stories in that role. He was questioned for about 20 minutes before court wrapped to accommodate an alternate juror's medical appointment. Pecker's testimony continues tomorrow. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
It is being dubbed the largest deal in Canadian history. Honda is expected to announce a multi-billion-dollar agreement this week to build electric vehicles in Ontario. The deal will be partly subsidized by federal tax credits. Government sources say it will be unveiled in Alliston, where Honda has been making gas-powered vehicles for decades. The CBC's Olivia Stefanovich has the details.
The small town of Alliston, Ontario, is about to become the leader for electric vehicle production in Canada and possibly all of North America.
This week, we've landed a new deal. It'll be the largest deal in Canadian history. So stay tuned.
That tease after CBC News confirmed a Bloomberg report. Honda is set to announce a multi-billion-dollar agreement, expanding its Canadian manufacturing dramatically, assembling electric vehicles, building batteries, and processing the raw materials to power them.
We have the critical minerals, renewable energy, access to market. So we're becoming kind of the place of choice in the world for manufacturing to look at producing to serve the North American market.
This industry executive says that makes Canada well positioned to serve the lucrative U.S. market.
Canada, especially Ontario and Quebec, are very well placed where you can extract the minerals, turn them into massive batteries that weigh hundreds of pounds, put them in cars and send them down.
Though the deal is several years in the making, last week's federal budget offered a sweetener, an EV supply chain investment tax credit intended to woo the Japanese automaker.
I have every confidence we're going to see the magnetic pull of those tax credits bringing more significant investment to our country, in the days and weeks and months to come.
The deal is being hailed as a major win for Canada and Ontario, competing against hundreds of billions of dollars in U.S. subsidies and incentives. More details are expected to be announced later this week. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
An investigation is underway after 5 Canadian Pacific rail cars caught fire while traveling through London, Ontario last night. Fire officials say the train crew was able to disconnect the cars to fight the flames. It took more than 24 firefighters to put out the blaze. Officials say there were no injuries. The cars were carrying old wooden railway ties and no dangerous materials were on board. Damage to the rail cars is estimated at $25,000 and $10,000 to a nearby office building.
A disproportionate number of renters who face eviction are disabled. This according to a new survey by Stats Canada. As Yvette Bren reports, it's not news to renters who have disabilities.
Hey, Brian. Every time eviction uproots this disabled man's family, the hunt for a new home gets harder.
I have a good job, and I can't afford to buy a home.
which means I can't support my son 100% by keeping him safe in one place.
A recent survey found that 3% of Canadian renters have been evicted. Of those, more than a quarter reported living with a disability.
I feel very, very vulnerable because if we ever had to leave this home, and now I have to make a resume of my family, and then I have to, include in there, must modify the bathroom, must put a ceiling lift in. We have 2 dogs, is that okay?
There's a back pillow that, one of those travel pillows, I use that.
John Feddick used to help people find housing. Now the former social services worker lives in his car.
I wasn't prepared for the shock of it. I wasn't prepared for the battles I've had to face with other people.
He's faced 3 evictions, and he says a lot of discrimination due to his disabilities. Every eviction ups the risk of homelessness, an additional level of stress.
So we definitely see that those folks who experience an eviction end up being worse off because they almost invariably pay more when they secure a new place to live.
Maybe I should hang on to that trailer. I might have to live in it someday with my son and my partner and our dogs. Molly, come.
For some, getting shut out can put a new roof out of reach. Yvette Bren, CBC News, Vancouver.
Artificial intelligence will play a key role in the upcoming Olympics in Paris. Organizers recently shared their new guidelines for the technology. As Sam Sampson explains, AI will play a role in the games, from tricky calls to scouting new talent from around the world.
Imagine an instant replay of an Olympic dive looking like this. In-the-moment metrics of distance, degree, rotation. That's what's coming for Paris 2024. The International Olympic Committee rolled out an artificial intelligence plan for the Games, including judging tools.
AI will, of course, help to provide additional information to judges to score in a more informed way. Now, this all has to be done in a way to protect the integrity of the athletes' results.
Crucial. So important for him to nail this one.
Some athletes believe AI could eliminate judging errors or biases, like Kyle Schufelt. The Canadian won gold in 2004 on the floor and almost won bronze in the vault. But in a controversial decision, a judge gave an opponent who fell a higher score.
If AI would have been used in 2004 in the vault competition, I think I would have won a bronze medal.
Schufelt says AI will add fairness, but there still has to be some heart.
I would be scared if at a competition a bunch of R2D2s beep, 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 come rolling into the competition and those are your judges. I wouldn't trust that. But when you have a combination of humans and the robotics and the technology, I think that is a really nice balance.
Ahead of the upcoming Youth Olympics, the IOC used AI to find new talent, future Olympians. It's a seed of encouragement possibly needed in modern times.
With social media now and the way kids operate, if they don't have some sort of instant knowledge, they move on really quickly. If AI helps them to acknowledge that their talent does exist, I think it's hugely beneficial.
While the IOC highlighted the potential benefits of AI, they were clear.
He's got the gold medal!
Artificial intelligence isn't meant to replace athletes.
Gold for Canada!
The humanity of the games will remain untouched.
And she can't see it, now she can!
Sam Sampson, CBC News, Regina.
Canada's main stock index recovered from early losses to end higher today. Here's a look at the markets as we head to break. Yes, a lot of yellow on the weather board.
Yeah,
and I think we're okay with that, aren't we?
And the flowers are coming up. We're turning the corner.
The
Or
grass
maybe we already
continues to
had.
green. Yeah, for sure. I thought I might have heard a lawnmower going
Oh,
in my
really?
neighborhood on the weekend.
That's early.
Yeah, for sure.
Coming
Listen,
soon.
I support it if you want to get out there. But yeah, definitely. Yesterday was like the first day where it seemed like everybody was out.
Exactly.
The kids took over the neighborhood. They were riding their bikes.
Yeah,
It was so great to see. Have a look at our viewer picture of the day, and you can see, yes, along the Northumberland shore, beautiful spot here, Northport, and the sunrise.
Oh, lovely.
Nice silhouette there, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, ready to go, ready to
Diane
sail.
says, best part of the day. Hard to argue with that picture there. Thanks to Diane for sharing. Ryan's picks at cbc.ca. And in Northport tomorrow, likely around 10, 11 degrees. And looks like that entire northern part of the province is going to be where we're most likely into the double digits. We'll likely squeak into the double digits for places like Bridgewater, just inland. But along that Atlantic coastline, temps will be likely capped in the single digits. Now, bit of a northerly flow on Wednesday, and we will be watching, still temperatures to be not too bad for this time of year, into the double digits, but cooler thanks to that rain coming into Cape Breton. And we'll quickly show you that 7-day forecast, which definitely shows some improvements late week.
Looking pretty good. Okay, well, finally tonight, it is an unmistakable sign of spring that has arrived in Toronto.
Crowds are flocking to Hyde Park to take in the sights and smells of the cherry blossoms. They're reaching a peak bloom today.
Now, because of the sheer volume of visitors, Hyde Park will be closed to cars during the height of the bloom.
But they may not stick around because chilly nights are possible, even frost in the forecast for southern Ontario.
You better enjoy it while they can, huh?
Yeah.
That's it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.